Hey, I'm Ed Doyle, president of RealFood Hospitality Strategy and Design, and I'm taking time today to sit down with some of the thought leaders across the spectrum of the hospitality industry to understand where we go from here today. Now, here is a weird place. I'm talking to them all remotely. It's no substitute for being in the same room, but it's no substitute for being in a restaurant together. So we're going to see what comes out of today as we look to the future to redefine our hospitality industry and understand how we can support our clients and, frankly, how we can support each other as we try to get through these challenging times.
Hi, I'm Rob Burns, co-founder and president of Night Shift Brewing.
Rob Burns, co-founder and president of Night Shift Brewing. Thank you for sitting down with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Absolutely, man. So these are crazy and unsettled times for sure. But I always think that out of adversity comes opportunity. What are we going to learn? What are we going to take out of this? What are we as a collective group going to say, yeah, that wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for COVID?
I mean, I think we're already trying to be smarter about our business, really kind of take a deeper dive into like what was working, what was nice to have, what was really impactful, what added to the experience, what was the reason people came to visit us in the first place, and kind of looking at that picture with pretty much a fresh new set of eyes and really peeling back the onion that I think over the years, like we've made a ton of small decisions here and there that maybe don't seem super impactful on the surface, but then all of a sudden added up and we're like, oh, we kind of went down this road when we were really going down this road, and maybe that was okay, but we need to course correct. So I think we're having some really interesting discussions around that. And then just like, what is the service model of the future, and how do you provide great guest experiences and hospitality with maybe a little bit more cautious consumer about, just maybe even how much you talk to them. So I think it's kind of that full gamut of kind of what are our costs and inputs and style of service to how we can still provide like a world-class experience. And we've always provided a lot of beer education as part of it. Like, how much do they want us to talk to them? Do they still want draft beer? Will they only want canned beer?
Have you upped your digital engagement to offset the loss of personal connection?
We've done on the social media side, sharing more user-generated content, which is kind of a nice way to take almost free content and reshare it and repurpose it. Where historically we spend a lot of time, making that perfectly crafted photo or doing a digitally edited video or doing some cool animations. And so kind of peeling that back and using some user-generated content has been interesting. And actually, that's one of the things that we've learned, like, wow, like this is actually just proving just that raw sort of customer endorsement is proving pretty valuable. And maybe some of the overproduced, in a way, content that we've in-house created is maybe less impactful than we kind of realized in the past.
Got it. Yeah, I think there's certainly people are flocking to comfort, right? A little less glossy, a little more re-engaged with your local, and you are such a strong local brand. It makes sense that people want to connect. I think you said it. I mean, we're all creating hospitality experiences, and I think one of the challenges that the food service world has gone through is how do we deliver a hospitality experience that is outside our four walls. Now, while you guys have been doing an amazing job of that at the Taproom and at the new Boston location, I mean, people have been drinking your beer in their house for a long time. So you've been a pioneer in this space. So what are some of the things that you think are going to continue to happen in delivering those hospitality experiences kind of outside our four walls for you and for the industry?
I was excited to be a small part in trying to get the bill passed that allowed restaurants to sell beer and wine to go and to deliver beer and wine. I think that's been a really interesting piece. I mean, we've been doing the beer delivery for the first time directly to consumers' houses as part of that. And that's been another great way to just kind of engage with the customer. You get that kind of friendly night shift service at your doorstep, and it might only be for that 30 seconds of checking the ID, making sure that you got the right beers. But that is essentially a touch point that we never had before that then brings it into their home. And then we get to see that, almost always they post initially a photo of like, this arrived at my doorstep. How freaking cool is that? And as a consumer, I've been going to my favorite restaurants, ordering takeout and adding a bottle of wine. I have plenty of beer at home, but adding a bottle of wine, and I'm like, this is great. Like I got a full stop service. I have 2 young kids at home, 2 young daughters under the age of, or 3 and under. And sometimes dining out is really hard. I also did one of those, pre-mixed cocktails where the juices and everything was already made. I just had to add my own tequila. I thought that was an amazing experience. I felt like I was drinking the same cocktail I would have drank at the restaurant. But I got to do it with, my kid crying and not interfering with any of the guests. And then I got to eat the same food I would have eaten anyway. So I hope like we are able to hold on to some of those newfound privileges, because I do think that those are going to be great lifelines and great new revenue streams going forward, especially as people get more sucked into like, hey, this is an easy add-on to my order.
Right.
And I think there's already been some data from Nielsen are proving that folks are adding more alcohol on their to-go orders than ever before. And that's awesome.
Well, I think one of the interesting things people have been talking about is the shift to working at home and the shift to remote working has been that we've found time. So the ability for me to pick up my food and my beer or my wine at the same location effectively gives me more time to enjoy time at home and all the things that go with it. So it is really a significant shift. I hope we can stay with it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of business considerations for all the different business segments, but I was reading in the Globe this morning, they were saying that the milkman's coming back, right? The resurgence of the milkman. Well, you're like the new milkman. You're bringing me beer. And so that's fantastic. And I think, do we lose something in that hospitality at home experience? Obviously it's different to drink a night shift in the tap room or drink a night shift at home, but how do we translate that hospitality into the home space? And what do you see as a user and as a provider? One
of the times I ordered, wine to go, in the bag was their tasting notes and just their commentary on the wine themselves. I thought that was really cool. That would be like me asking the server, is this rosé sweet or dry? And with unprompted, they've already kind of supplied that to me. And I got that same kind of educational moment. One of the times I ordered one of those, kind of build your own dinner kits. It was, make your own pizza at home. And that was great. You kind of get to use their ingredients, their quality of ingredients, their, dough, and make it to your specs. And then have their cooking instructions to follow. I thought was another kind of great way to kind of connect to the restaurant, not too dissimilar from asking, what was that herb or spice I tasted in this dish? Like, I'm getting something here. I don't know what it is, but okay, now I do know. I think those are all interesting opportunities that are, again, bringing it home. But I think that for me, one of the things that I really realized is how much I love the restaurant and bar environment. And that it is in a ways hard to replicate at home, that spontaneous meeting of a total stranger, that interaction, the energy, the music, the lights, the aromas, they're not the same at home. And in some senses, sometimes you go out to escape your home and to enter into a whole new world. And I feel like, personally, I'm truly missing that. And just being in our tap room and stuff and hearing how quiet it is, God, that's an unsettling feeling.
That's got to be weird.
Yeah, absolutely. And seeing bar stools up, turned up, and be in there on a Friday afternoon and to hear no laughter, no ruckus, no cheersing, no glass breaking is pretty hollowing and emptying.
As hospitality people, we live for that immediate feedback. Right? We're all junkies for that gratification of they really like that beer or they love that hamburger, and we can get that feedback. And when that's missing, that's a really interesting point. You're the first person that's brought that up, and that's huge. The challenge of creating that warmth and that inviting and that engagement in this new world of social distancing is going to be a challenge. How do you see that coming? As I'm sure you're talking about what the tap room looks like now, how it works, and what do you see that experience being?
I mean, we started the business by basically throwing house parties, inviting friends and any of their friends to come into our Somerville apartment and try as much beer as they want. And their only requirement, not too dissimilar from a restaurant, was you have to rate the product and give us honest feedback. Just it's like a comment card essentially. And we did that for years, and still to this day, we've always felt like we're hosting people, we're throwing a party. From our college days of throwing keg parties to a little bit more sophisticated and maybe more legal compliance today. We're still doing the same thing. And so how do we kind of create that fun atmosphere that's so important? And how do we create that feedback loop and those conversations and those memories tied to the brand are going to be a challenge if we can't throw some of the grand kind of events. We threw a couple concerts in our parking lot last summer in Everett where we had 600 people there. That seems like a fantasy land to foresee that anytime soon. That's a bit of a bummer, but how do we what does it look like in the kind of the new world is still something we're trying to figure out. I mean, one of the reasons why we picked our Boston location is we really wanted to continue to tie the Night Shift brand to positive memories. And we thought, almost every person's experience, no matter if the Bruins or Celtics win or lose, is a good night out. Right. And if we can be a small part of their night out, that's a positive connection to the Night Shift brand. And when they're at home or at the grocery store, that they can still think about Night Shift as a key part of their purchases. And so if that's not going to happen either, like how does that was like a key pillar in our decision to do that project. Right. How do we continue to build that fan affection and culture without kind of that same excitement and energy?
The reality is the world for our staff is going to change too. So certainly, you're in a production facility. There's all new concerns. What do you see happening from a staff point of view to let your staff still let that magic shine through, whether it's in the production facility or in the tap room?
We've already had plenty of that sanitation and cleaning process in place that basically is unchanged. I mean, I think, we're cleaning door handles more, but cleaning tanks, making clean beer is very much about being clean. So that carries forward. I think just the number of, bartenders we would pack behind a bar is something that we're talking about. Our main bar in Everett would have, sometimes eight bartenders behind it in a tight space. That maybe seems not ideal going forward. And one of our biggest challenges on peak times is how do you serve customers fast enough? So right. You need to look at new technologies like, ordering from the table, using their cell phone or using some device on the table. That to some extent feels a little bit colder than what we would like to offer. It sort of goes against the point of the taproom experience. But right. If that's a way to at least meet or exceed guests' service expectations, then there's a compromise in there somewhere, and sure. That's worth exploring.
We're kind of calling audibles every day right now, so it'll be interesting to see from how dense the room gets to how many servers we need to take care of them. But I think the important thing is to your goal of still delivering that experience that lets people engage with the brand and engage with the people around them, because that's really where you've done a great job of creating magic. So look, we know this is transformative for the industry, but I also am confident that because everyone is spending so much time thinking about what this means and where we go, is there something that you see, something you've been pondering that you see as opportunity that wouldn't have existed? You mentioned the delivering to home. Is there something within your industry or the hospitality industry that is only afforded to happen because we've gone through this kind of burning down the forest and now it's growing up from below with new ideas?
For different parts of our business, I think we're looking at different things. I mean, e-commerce and digital marketplace is certainly something that's coming to the forefront. You can't really ship beer through the mail, but wine has done that over decades of time, kind of loosen those laws state by state. That's something that the beer industry should seriously look at as ways to kind of create new revenue streams. There's stuff like we've had a bill for a number of years to allow breweries to sell beer at farmer markets. In Massachusetts, wineries can, but not breweries. That seems kind of ridiculous line to draw in the sand. That would be another way to kind of get other outlets for products, especially products that are really local. And, you could probably argue that a farmer's market is maybe a little bit better of a place to be than a tight-knit grocery store at this time. So why not kind of bring the beer to the people? I hope large venues don't go away. I think that's one of the things I'm nervous about, not just because we're next to one of them ourselves, but I've always loved going to concerts and festivals and street fairs and all that sort of stuff where you get that energy and pulse. I think just like anything, I think sometimes this might sound a little bit harsh, but a thinning of the herd and having the best operators rise up.
Agreed.
Be beneficial to everyone in the industry. Someone getting a bad dining experience or bad craft beer is not good for anybody. Right. Let's have the more successfully operators who will most likely weather this continue on. I think there's definitely challenges with Boston area specifically around rents and liquor licenses and stuff like that. I would love this to be an opportunity to kind of hit the reset button to make it viable for, the chef-driven concepts to really take flight again, to have the dive bar, come back, that little corner spot that,
have all gone away.
Yeah, exactly. As much as I love a 400-seat restaurant, what can we get down to 40-seat restaurants again, and make those financially possible? Under today's conditions, no. But can we look at things like license cap, like rent rates? Can we dial over those things back, so we can kind of get the next generation of entrepreneurs, of restaurateurs, of food and beverage folks, kind of being able to get their fingers into the marketplace. Are stuff that I would love to be talked about.
If I can hit the reset button and achieve getting my dive bar back and getting Night Shift through Amazon, this has been totally worth it, dude.
Yeah, exactly. 2 months of confinement for that. That's a win.
I'm in. Lock the door. So, well, awesome. I could talk to you about beer in the market and the future all day long. I know that the future is going to be led by great operators like yourself and great products that are local and connect with their brand. So I'm confident more than ever that Night Shift and everything you guys do is going to continue to expand. But it is going to be these conversations, I think, that let us lead the industry forward and find a better place where, to your point, the right people are in place and the industry can really resurge, because I want to come out of this better. Absolutely. I think, like anything, this is an opportunity for us to all grow personally as business operators. We're looking forward to coming out the other side and seeing what the new landscape is and hopefully having fun. That's great. Rob, thanks so much for sitting me. I really appreciate it. No problem. Thanks, Ed.